Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to the Pepperdynamics Podcast, the unofficial podcast of the Pepperdine Graziadio business community. I am joined today by Tony June. Tony is just starting, really first semester in the MSRE program, Masters of Science in Real Estate. Greetings, Tony. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me, Ty. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to have you on. A little bit about your background. You went to Humboldt State, played football there, student athlete, grew up in Inglewood. We got that in common. And then you also were in the Navy for 10 years, right? Any military background really is a benefit as you want to move on, because I think there are things you learn in the background. I wanted to have you on, though, because our similar backgrounds, right? Grew up in Inglewood, went to the same high school, Westchester High School, right?
Westchester, right? Comets, go Comets.
All day, right, yeah. Student athlete in college. Then you go off and you live the rest of your life kind of situation. What I'll start with is thinking about growing up in Inglewood. You know, you get off to college and you realize there are things you didn't learn growing up in an inner city school district. There are parts of LA that are worse than Inglewood, but Inglewood had its ups and downs. And then, you get to college and you realize, and then when you continue on, me being an MBA student, as I was starting this journey, I'm like, oh, there really are things that I didn't really learn growing up from then. So I guess the question is, Inglewood, the difference in when you graduated and I graduated was almost about 10 years from high school, right?
Yeah, it was 2004.
Okay, so me graduated in 96, growing up in LA and Inglewood in the 80s and 90s. 80s, it was crack epidemic, which affected my family, right? My pops ended up being a drug user on crack. And then, gang violence, all this. I imagine by the time you got to high school, it was still going on. I think it was changing to more drug territory, but it was still gang violence. And you got to figure out how to navigate those streets. Talk to me about how that has informed your way of maneuvering throughout life, military, student athlete. Now we're here at this MBA program. I mean, your master's program. Talk a little bit about that.
So for me, it was a little bit different. So I grew up, although I was in Inglewood, church was a huge influence on my life. So the drugs was there. It wasn't as much crack and stuff when I was kind of like coming up, but it's big gang violence. So white tees, oversized, bagging your jeans and everything. So for me, it was like, hey, you get the gang life, which is like you and your boys, y'all do whatever. But for me, I was more a little taken back. So I'll always kind of like be in the background. I'm watching the activity and stuff, but I'm not really saying much. I'm just kind of keeping my eyes out and keeping my head on the swivel, being aware of what's around me. So I think that was probably for me how it impacted me the most. Like knowing who the boys were, knowing everybody, but at the same time, just kind of like being back a little bit, watching. Situational awareness was, higher. And then just making sure that I was making moves, in accordance with kind of what I wanted my outcome to be, right? If I knew that, did I want to take fights or did I want to fight a lot? Did I want to or not? Because the choice is there, right? If I want to or have the opportunity to be a little bit more rambunctious, okay, then I'm going to take the bus, I'm going to do this, or, So just for me, it was more about knowing what to do and what not to do by kind of watching and then adapting my personal strategy accordingly. So, and I think that's how I still am.
I think Tupac had a saying, when you grow up in LA, right, you're aware of the things around you. And I was the same way. I'm aware of everything. If you got to get in the mix, you get in the mix, right? I prefer to stay out of the mix. For me, I didn't want to disappoint my mom. I'm a mama's boy. I didn't want to disappoint my And so if you got to get in the mix, you get in the mix. If not, you be aware, right? You know which guys are which. You understand. You see a car somewhere like, I don't know about that here, is that kind of thing. So I took that with me to Michigan State. And then when I used to go to Detroit, I was always uncomfortable because I didn't understand the streets of Detroit like I understand it. You know what I mean? So, but you still knew character, right? You're like, okay, be aware of what's happening.
And I do like the fact too, just like you said, like, hey, if you got to take that contact, you're familiar. You're not afraid of it. You just realize that, okay, this is the situation. And so you adapt accordingly. And so it really helped me a lot thus far in my life.
When you're aware that young, elementary school, and because elementary school, we had people, everybody, you know what I mean? Elementary school, junior high, high school, when you're aware that young, there's a certain manner of introspection or self-awareness that I found certain people have, that in the moment when something is happening, they are paying attention to what's going on around them, but they're also gauging themselves at the moment. How am I going to react in this situation? Am I going to let my emotions take control of things, right? Or am I going to make the decision that this may not be a situation I need to be in, or do I need to be in this situation?
Right. It's interesting you say that because I never thought about it like that, but that's exactly what I do.
It's the grit, right? The grit of the streets. And you get it from other ways, but both of us grew up in Inglewood. It's a similar situation. I wonder about being a student athlete, Humboldt State. Now, I was a walk-on. I went to Michigan State and tried out, didn't make it, and then tried out again and made the team. But Humboldt State, tell me about that experience and what it laid for the future.
So my football history is a little checkered, so right after high school, I didn't get any real offers. I think I had, junior colleges want me, but, you want to go D1.
Yeah, right.
So I couldn't go really D1 because I was, I didn't get any offers. So I went to go walk on. But I walked on down. I went to Southern University.
Okay, yeah.
Black college is my first year. Okay. Then walk on, make the team. I was going to redshirt. But then Hurricane Katrina happened.
Oh, yeah.
And so that forced me out of that area because things were getting real kind of like hectic down there. So I ended up coming back home, went to junior college. I played for Elko and got a lot of good exposure there to like what real talent is. A bunch of our guys went D1. They wanted me to play 2 years there, but I wanted to play D1.
You was ready to get there, yeah.
So what I ended up doing was a couple of my friends from high school went to Humboldt and I felt like I was better athletes than them, and they made the team. So I just was like, okay, instead of playing 2 years at a D1 school, I'll go play 3 years at a D2 school. I'll get more film. But, it's the way the cookie crumbled, right? I probably could have stayed at El Camino and, did something different. But that's how I ended up getting to Humboldt. I got up there, played receiver. I didn't really like coaches. Like, I heard them made a comment, something like, these LA guys, it's going to be the last year we get these guys. And it kind of just rubbed me the wrong way, So just hearing their strategy toward certain players, it just made me turned off from. And so I kind of like explored other positions and stuff. If you look at like my last year, I think I'm listed as an athlete because I moved to the defensive side of the ball just so I can have fun. My last year, I technically got another year of eligibility. Probably never used that. But I ended up transitioning from football in a physical, competitive kind of like state to debate. And that was what really kept me to graduation because I was able to still have those competitive juices, but it was in a different arena, So I went from competing as an athlete to more as a student. And so that student-athlete transition happened for me pretty much right there where I started, using my mind more.
Yeah. Debate is interesting, man. It's a mental competition, like you mentioned. And you come into it almost fresh off. I was just competing physically. Yeah. And there's a grit to me. Now, I understand you guys are all competitors, but I'm coming in here like, first, let me learn how to debate. Yeah. And then two, I'm trying to beat y'all, everybody in the room right now.
And there's more, so we did world style debate up at Humboldt. So it's more like a stylistic thing too. So it was manner and your matter. So what you saying plus how you're saying it. So I used to think I was a savvy kind of guy. I studied communication. And so I was just kind of like looking at the different styles of guys that debate. And, some are really prim and proper, but some will just break it down for you. And so there was power in both kind of methods. So I like to kind of like do like a hybrid of it all. Like, okay, I make sure I remember certain points, but then I'm just going to break it down to you so you could kind of get the gist of why this is okay or why it's not okay. And so I had some success with that. I won top 10 speakers a few times, so it was good, man. It was really eye-opening to, which kind of propelled me to where I am now that, hey, you don't have to compete physically. You can also compete mentally. And which was the biggest eye-opener for me, you can get some of the same satisfaction. That was big for me.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think when I first met you and you told me debate, I said, was it like Denzel's movie about Wiley College? Was it like that?
Yeah, it was like that.
Oh,
man.
Really?
Yeah, because like you stand up, people saying what they got to say. You stand up, you want to rebut, and they let you get into the conversation or not. And it's, a style thing too. Like if I know this guy over here, and back to the competitive thing, he's not a great speaker.
So I can get him.
So yeah, no. As soon as he pop up, I'm letting him in.
Really?
Go ahead, say what you got to say, because I'm finna just destroy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Compared to the other guy who's a really good speaker, I'm not letting him in.
You gonna stand up and talk?
I'm gonna let him stand up, but I'm not gonna give him the floor because I can't afford it. You know what I'm saying?
that loss.
In the
Yeah.
tactical way, the gamesmanship of it all, you know? So it was fun, man, but it was different.
So we're here at Pepperdine, Master's of Science in Real Estate. Of course, you spent 10 years in the Navy. And now my assumption, I'm not military. My assumption is that 10 years in the military, there are things that you learned and did, whether it be projects, programs, products, logistics, tactical things, whatever in the military that you either are using now or don't even know that you will be using in the future, right? Talk to me a little bit about that military background, how you bring it with you here working on this Master's of Science in Real Estate.
So 10 years in the military, like you said, in the Navy for sure. I tested into the Naval Nuclear Program. So even though I had my degree, I didn't go the officer route. I enlisted, which is a whole nother conversation on its own. We could talk about that later. But, I, as an enlisted member, already had my degree. I was a little bit older than the standard enlistment personnel. So, I came in with a strategy. Like I knew I wanted to kind of like excel and do well and stuff. And I was pretty like on point when it came to like doing what I need to do and not playing around a whole lot. So, like you said, a whole lot of programs, a whole lot of projects that I was into. So I was part of the, I'm like a plank owner on the Ford, which is like one of the original crew members of an aircraft carrier that we built. And I helped to build the reactor department there. So it's like, at the time, the Navy has like a A1B reactor, and that's the first time that they did this design, right? And so they did it. It's a very robust design, and so we went to help. It was being fabricated as we came on as a commissioning crew, but then we had to initial groom and test all the systems. So it was just like the attention to detail that you had to learn, because you can't really mess up nuclear power because everybody freak out about it. Handling pressure or being audited by a high level. So we had Nuclear Regulatory Commission coming, we had naval reactors really coming. And so being able to have some high level design system or something like that, and you have to kind of like explain while you're doing, right? So that was another skill that I learned. So program management, and then a bigger piece, which I didn't really appreciate toward my ending time in the Navy, is like personnel management, leadership, mentoring.
Really?
Yeah, man.
That wasn't your thing?
No. To be honest, I always felt like, I'm a teammate, right? But I'm gonna be the best individual contribution to the team. And that's how you have a good team. You got a bunch of good individuals that understand the team concept. So it's not on me to teach you to be better. You should be good just as good as I am, so that way our team could perform at a high level. Well, when I got to the military, that wasn't always the case. It was like you have a few real outstanding performers, but everyone else is just either home. Like my cousin told
Happy
me this.
with mediocrity, right?
Man, he told me this, and it really was like really good. You got three types of guys or girls, right? You got the ones that you don't got to tell them what to do. They're going to find out what needs to be done. They're going to seek the work because they want to be the A student. They want to make sure that they on top of it. So you got those guys. You got other guys so those are the people that you don't need to tell them what to do. Then you got other people that are like, hey, you could tell them what to do, but they'll only do exactly what you tell them to do. As soon as you tell them to do it, they're going to knock it out perfectly. But if you don't tell them, they're not doing anything. Exactly. And then you got the knuckleheads that even when you tell them what to do, they're not going to do it, or they do it wrong. So once I started realizing, what type of teams that I had, what my teams were comprised of, the type of people that I had, then I could adjust accordingly, right? I realized you're not going to do what I ask you to do, even when I ask you to do it. So now I got to put my attention on you. Vice, the dude that don't know what to do, or he's only going to do what you tell him, you got to give him very concise kind of instructions to guide him along. So those things really help me out, like, leadership wise, mentoring wise, developing like the people around you. So that way, because I used to feel like, man, y'all just give me a full team of misfits.
Right. That's interesting. I kind of have a philosophy along the lines of that. My philosophy on leadership is that the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of, right? And one of the initial ways to do that is by explaining the expectations that you have for the people that are part of your organization and telling them how they will be evaluated at those expectations, right? And I have 4 things. I think people will choose to do one of 4 things. They will either choose to just do their job, right? Do your job. Bill Belichick, right? Or they'll choose to excel at their job, right? Overachievers. Or they'll choose not to do the job, right? Or or that person may realize they don't have the capacity to do the job, so you got to adjust from there, right? And what's exactly what you're saying. This person doesn't have the capacity to do the job, or you're dealing with Johnny. Make sure you spell out exactly what you want, give him all the details and how you're going to evaluate the project so he gets it done. Or it might be Sarah over here. Sarah, you can say, Sarah, there's a box over there, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. She'll come back with the box put together, filled up with everything you need without even, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so I like that. I like that philosophy. So thinking about that helped you when you got into that leadership role in terms of.
And then the crazy part for me is, especially in the military, there's no getting out. You're not. You don't just fire. You don't kind of work or whatever. Like you don't call it off as a sick day. No. So what ends up happening is you end up learning to love these folks that are not even the high level folks, because it's like it's so consistent. I know what I'm getting. Like I know it.
Yeah.
When you come to me and you have these issues, I know you haven't read to the bottom of the page, because that's how you are, And so you learn to love these interactions, because it's like, and I think that's what really captures like the senior enlisted like leadership in the military. That's what keeps them going, because they see this potential here, and they're crafting this potential, and that almost got me locked in there. You know what I'm saying? When I was up for chief, it was like it almost got me locked in there. But I just I had to revert to like, this is not really what I came for. So I got
super interesting. So now we're in this Masters of Science in Real Estate. Tell me about that, man. What's happened? Where we are, a month in or 2 months? How long we been in school so far?
So it's been about 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks in.
3 weeks. Yeah. So it's full pivot. From having this agenda set forth for you to now creating your kind of like brand, creating who you want to be as a professional, so it's a little different. Let me just say that adjustment is much different than I expected it to be. I thought that, you got these, I'm a smart guy, all this stuff, like no big deal. The mental adjustment of not like, finances and stuff, some of that stuff is kind of like hard set, right? You got the money or you don't. You know where you're going to live or you don't. So some of that stuff is like easy. I thought that was just what the transition was. But the transition and mentality to this 1 track, 2 tracks, or like this program that sets forward, you could gymnastics this program because you know all about the rules and regulations of X, Y, and Z. You know where your resources are to look, like where you're looking for your information. Out here in civilian land, which is beautiful. It's just like, man, everything's wide open. Whatever you want it to be,
the world is
you
yours.
can create it.
Make it happen. Yeah.
And so it's a little bit, it's not overwhelming because, for me, I have a specific like focus in mind. And so like you're getting to with your point, how did I get to master real estate? Well, my last couple of years, really like my last 3 or 4 years in the military, I knew that I didn't want to do my specific job. I was like a water chemist, right? Water chemistry and radiological controls supervisor at that point. So I was just like, I know I don't want to be doing this forever, analyzing trends and stuff for water analysis forever. So I just started I just went into myself, I guess, and I just started like brainstorming like what I really want to do, crafting it out, writing out my notes when I'm mad at the world, in my rack. I'm just painting this beautiful picture of like what a great organization or corporation would look like that I'm in charge of, And so now I'm crafting it out. Well, 2-3 years later, as I'm looking at my strategy for implementation, how am I going to create this enterprise I want? Land acquisition and real estate is one of the key components of my strategy personally. So I ended up coming to Pepperdine because I looked at a few programs out there. I applied to a few, but the way the cards landed, having the desire to be closer to family because I've been gone for 10 years. All my sisters had babies and stuff. I want to be, I want to maintain the family unit.
I know the story.
Exactly.
I know the story.
Then, Pepperdine was a good fit, so that's how I ended up getting to this master's real estate program. And I'm really excited about it, really, because USC has a master's real estate program, but they're more focused kind of on development. Same thing up in Berkeley. Berkeley has a program, but they're more looking at, sustainability, city planning, kind of like urban development like that. Well, Pepperdine's program is unique in the sense that they're looking at the finance side of the house.
Right.
And to be fair, you can't develop or have all these technologies in your building that are going to maintain your eco-friendly kind of like way of life without the financing of it, right? Knowing how to stack the capital, financial structures, all the stuff that I'm learning these 3 weeks here, right? So I'm really excited about it, man. I had back in those days when I was like brainstorming, one of my goals, top 10 goals, I want to be a numbers guy. I didn't know it was going to happen like this, but now
it's coming
yeah,
fast.
coming to fruition. Yeah.
That's what happens, man. Strategize it out. That's right. Like a project.
Hey, plan, plot, strategize.
All day.
Yeah, right.
I asked a couple questions here and then we'll wrap. Vice president of the, what is the name of the organization that you're vice president?
So PREA here is Pepperdine Real Estate Association.
Pepperdine Real Estate Association, right? So
you just got elected as vice president.
Vice president, yeah. Congratulations on that. What is your vision being involved in that? And I asked this, I'll tell you why I asked this. Some people are in organizations because it's a resume builder. Some people in organizations to network and have a community. Some people in organizations because they want to leave wherever they are better than they found it. And all of them are good reasons, right? Tell me about your reason for being involved. You're vice president now. Tell me a little bit about that in terms of the student organization.
Yeah, so the real reason why I want to get involved is I just want to submerge myself kind of like in real estate and understanding, because I'm doing this pivot in my career. At the same time, come from the background, I'm not just going to do stuff just for the name.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm not doing it just for the bullet point,
yeah.
For the eval or I say eval, but it's really for the
resume credibility, whatever it is. Yeah.
So my idea is I want to make sure that our cohort gets what they need in order to be like influential in whatever market they choose to be in. And of course, that's going to come with the skill set that we learn from the professors, but also like the networking of it all, right? CCIM is a big like designation, and this program is like a fast track for CCIM. Big picture, I just want to not necessarily leave it better than I found it, but I just want to maximize the experience for our cohort. And so I'm just trying to put on a few events, or at least find, and it sounds a little crazy, but I just feel like guest speakers are like, we have a whole speaker series. Yeah. So what can we add to our cohort, to our program, that's going to bring us to a high level competency, or like, I know that real estate is a lot about networking. So, what type of networking matters, not just like networking, going just to go, but no, what kind of things can we do that are going to actually make a difference for us in our cohort? And so that's really my thing. And then I chose to run for vice president because like I said, I kind of like being in the background, looking at situations and then adapting accordingly. I don't mind being a guy, being up, making the speeches, but I'd rather read the speech and help you write the speech prior, help you practice for the speech, and then boom, be there, support you to do it. Because it's almost like a mentoring thing too. Like, one thing I learned in military, sometimes you got to manage up and down, right? So just because this guy got a position over me doesn't mean I'm not having influence on how he's doing things. Same thing underneath me. You got to manage up and down. So, I'm okay with the vice president. It's well suited for how I want to be.
It's a good thing. And whether you say it verbally or not, you do plan on leaving this organization better than you found it if you want to take it beyond just guest speakers, which a lot of student organizations just leave it like that, right? You want to actually find some tactical, valuable touch points that everybody leaves from it feeling enhanced because they were involved with the organization. Yeah, I think that's an excellent thing. Well, Tony, this has been an excellent conversation. I will say one last thing. I've heard you say it a few times in different forms, but I do have a philosophy that I've adapted, and I say a whole lot after my mother passed away, getting fired from a job, a whole bunch of other things happened, is that the key to a peaceful existence is to master the ability to adjust accordingly. In life, what we got to do is adjust accordingly. Adjustment may take 1 year, may take a day, may take 10 seconds, may take 10 years. But in life, the key to a peaceful existence is to master the ability to adjust accordingly. I think you're doing that well in terms of coming here.
Thanks, man. I would say I'm a highly adaptive creature. So
yes, sir.
Makes sense.
I appreciate you joining us here on the Pepperdynamics Podcast.
And thanks for having me.
Great conversation. That was Tony June. Tony is a student here at the Graziadio Business School studying the Master of Science in Real Estate. And of course, this is Ty Brown with the Pepperdynamics Podcast. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today?